Right, hi. Great to have our guest on, James. James has joined us to talk about his speciality, which is ADHD. So I'll let him introduce himself and say hello.
Hello, everyone. James Koppert. I lecture, give keynote speeches, research, and add adaptations about ADHD. Do the Koppert ADHD podcast as well, and all that type of thing.
Cool. Great to have you on. Thanks for coming along.
Thank you for having me.
Sal's looking a bit bewildered there for some reason.
No, I'm not. I'm. Do you know what? I'm chomping at the bit because I've been so up in my own head with what I'm dealing with and sort of figuring that out for years and years. I'm very ignorant to other conditions I don't specifically have, so I'm desperate to hear all about it.
Oh, hold on.
I love learning. I just can't take much.
Yeah. So, what were we going to say? Right. How do you want to start? What do you want to talk about? Like, do you want to go in on? You and I messaged before about reforms, kind of current attack. Yeah, that Sal's got the face. The attack on disabled that they seem to be ramping up. So
because they're neurological specialists, didn't you know?
It's fascinating because they made it. Richard Tice wrote, for those that don't know, a piece in the Telegraph about how the Doge effect is working, even though we all know it isn't.
Exactly.
That was a lie. And equally, that the next thing that they want to tackle is the massive overdiagnosis of neurodiverse conditions and stop things like having children having headphones on in school. But it's an absolute. It's not even slightly incorrect. Like, to give you the actual stats, so Cambridge University looked into people with ADHD, and 0.32% were diagnosed, when it's 4 to 5% in every single country in the world that should be diagnosed. So about 1 in 9 people are diagnosed who do have the condition. So that's a massive underdiagnosis.
Yeah, really.
80% of women are misdiagnosed with other conditions before they are diagnosed with autism. That's from Durham University. And about 59 to 72% of adults with autism are living out there undiagnosed. So the reality is we're massively underdiagnosed. And they've even done research where they've looked at people that have gone for diagnosis and they've been turned away. So they've kind of gone through the diagnostic procedure, been turned away. University have then done more in-depth analysis with them, and 50% of those would have been diagnosed had it kind of worked properly. Sure. So it's hugely underdiagnosed. And I think the reason why Richard Tice is seeing kids in school with headphones on is because before we allowed these reasonable adjustments, and had more understanding, those kids weren't at school.
No, right.
So that's why we are seeing them. It's just obvious.
Yeah, it's sort of willfully misunderstanding the situation, isn't he? He's just, as you say, like, those kids wouldn't have been at school previously. But it should be celebrated that teachers and schools are now making those reasonable adjustments to bring these kids into the mainstream kind of schooling wherever possible, which is a fantastic thing to me. And
absolutely.
Go on, sorry.
We're still failing kids massively with neurodiversity in the education system, but it's going in the right direction. And all we're doing with diagnosis is we are seeing a surge because we're catching up. There's more awareness. Because there's more awareness, more people are seeing that they're having this condition, so they're going for diagnosis, and eventually that will just even out. But we're also, from austerity, seeing that massive cuts in diagnostic services. So we've got this coalesced and perfect storm of more awareness, less services, and higher waiting lists, which is creating a massive kind of backlog and an issue.
Could I just ask you, well, for my own benefit as much as everybody listening, could you give us a brief synopsis of what ADHD actually is and how it affects people, please?
Yeah,
that's good.
So it's a neurodevelopmental condition. So it is just a different brain. So we do have a different brain. That, I think, some of the issues come into play in early kind of childhood, as our white brain matter is delayed in developing. So you can have someone with a really high IQ, for example, but their emotional development will be little bit delayed. So you might get a teenager that behaves a bit like kind of a more of a toddler when they're overwhelmed and emotional. So we also, what they've found, these are for the people that say it doesn't exist. Like one of the other reform candidates because it's MP, sorry, 50p Lee because he said it's bad parenting.
Oh, yeah, he did.
We also they found that people with ADHD and autism, everyone else prunes their brain stems through brain development from being a baby into toddler into adulthood. Whereas if you've got ADHD and autism, you maintain those. So we've got these different, different brain structures.
So the brain plasticity is different.
Absolutely, yeah, and that could be positive or negative. And in the past, it was people with ADHD were a very important part of the community. We'd be the hunters, the warriors, the people kind of coming up with new ideas, the people that just went, "What's over there?" and then went, and did that. And we still are. Someone said, "Do you think we'll have a cure for ADHD?" And I said, "You better hope not, because 90% of musicians, TV presenters, actors,
creatives
will just be gone, and inventors. Universities. If you meet some of the academics that are obsessed on one subject, neurodiversity is rampant, but it becomes a disability of us fitting into neurotypical communities, and then that's when we get the comorbid issues alongside that, which is the mental health issues that are so prominent. And it isn't because we've got mental health issues, it's because we develop them from at a very young age. And the stat I always bring up is, by the age of 10, the average child of ADHD is told off 200,000 times more than a neurotypical child.
All right.
Yeah.
Wow. How many? 200,000, you say? Yeah.
200,000 times, yeah.
And that then leads to personality disorders too. Or it can
Absolutely, yeah.
Well,
and
that brings in
it's abuse. It's basically fucking abuse.
Yeah, and it's not just that; it also affects how we interact with people. And I think it's no surprise that 1/3, 3 times more likely as a child of ADHD to be a victim of abuse than you are, because you want to please people, and adults give you attention. Those groomers, then we're gonna flock to them, aren't we? So, and county lines, all those type of things. So we realise at a very young age. But early diagnosis, can eliminate a lot of these issues.
Yeah, can bring that back
enormously.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's something I never knew about and never considered really. It's not. I'm not an expert in this by any means, so it's brilliant to have you to talk about this stuff. So yeah.
Can I ask some questions?
Yeah.
I've got loads now.
Do you know what I put on my notes? I said, Sal will probably lead on this section.
Well, I won't go all about time. I like talk. Well, I don't like talking about mental health, but I think it's important to break the stigma, because it's just what it is. Yeah. So you can't hide it. We're not going to pretend, oh, something's wrong with her, she's really emotional, while there's people going fighting with football shirts on. Do you know what I mean? It's everywhere. It just comes in different shapes and sizes. I don't know what order to go. Just out of curiosity, have you ever been on LBC?
Yes, frequently, yeah.
Did you hear Swarbrick the other week about medical misogyny?
I didn't.
Oh, we should have been on then, because he decided there was no medical misogyny, and you've literally just outlined another area of it.
Yeah,
so
there's loads.
Yeah.
Have you spoken to Tom Swarbrick, James?
Not Tom, no. They're sometimes a bit naughty and ring me up and pretend that I've rung in.
Oh, really? Yeah, I've seen Caller Daniel. They have on the line for that as well, a lot about reform. But
gold is green.
No, I just wonder with Tom Swarbrick. Now, Sal mentioned it, that he often talks about his daughters have autism, I think, or ADHD, but then he spends half his programming life demonizing people with mental health conditions. It's a really weird cognitive dissonance that I know it's
what the fuck is that
stuff, but it's really. He says it. It says I've got 2 daughters with neurodiverse conditions, and then goes on to say neurodiverse people shouldn't get benefits or whatever he's talking about that day.
Wonder how many times they were told off. Just asking questions.
What is guilt? Yeah,
I think one of the interesting things is that I think if you're middle class, there's a massive class divide as well, obviously. And I think if you're middle class and you can afford private school, for example, where it's a bit more individualised is the education system, and you do well. I mean, Boris Johnson, I have no doubt, has got ADHD. He's got every single trait there is. But when it works for you, because it does, in certain fields we're really strong at it, strong at different things like public speaking and etc. Because our brains just work quickly, then
Yeah,
you're
sure.
not ever going to be diagnosed because it's a positive to you. So it's I think if you've got kids, then you're probably comparing, going, well, my kids are all right, but the reality is very different.
But that class thing is so important. I think, like, just using Boris Johnson as an example, because he's had, you know, millions of pounds behind him since he was a child, gone to the best schooling, had the best attention. Whereas
Had the empathy smashed out of him.
Kids that grew up on a council estate like I did, who would never have had that in a million years. They'd just be labelled as, you know, the naughty ones, the bad kids, and put in a corner.
Sent to Prue.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, exactly that. Eventually,
and Prue's full of them. You know, Prue is, and youth justice services as well are full of kids with ADHD.
I mean, this
one
is
quarter
it.
of the prison system is ADHD diagnosable traits, and
how many? A quarter?
1 quarter.
Wow.
1 quarter of the prison system.
And a lot of them won't have been able to have gotten to a job because of the challenges they faced, so they had to turn to some other way of making money.
Yeah.
It's so backwards the way we treat people in this country. I just, you know.
Yeah. It's very
I
telling.
do,
That
however, have a theory
Go on, Sam, sorry.
that I wanted to throw at James just out of curiosity, because obviously we're going to have cross-sections of, we know more than we did 40 years ago now. Science has moved on, psychology has moved on. We're learning about brain plasticity and neurodiversity and all the rest of it, and things are starting to make sense to a lot of people like me and others. That I don't have ADHD per se, but I do have an awful lot of the traits for reasons you outlined earlier, just under a different banner. I've got a theory that from a brain plasticity point of view and a neuroregenerative point of view, I think that you're a bit young, so you might not comprehend it as well. Oh, yeah. Okay, well, we're 50, so...
Yeah, I'm only a few years off.
Oh, right, okay. So do you remember back when all we had was like 4 TV channels and newspapers and books, and that was it? And now we've got hundreds of thousands of bits of data being spunked at us through screens every single minute of every hour of every day. We don't have capacity. The brain doesn't evolve that quickly. Civilization has taken thousands and thousands and thousands of years. We don't evolve like technology does, but we're expecting ourselves to. That must be having an effect, surely.
Yeah, definitely. I think the overwhelming stimulus in the brain is too much for both autism and ADHD. I think that's affecting mental health issues as well. And also, in terms of our children, I think we are going to have struggles because the ADHD brain in particular, but the autistic brain as well, feeds on the dopaminergic system. And that's, you know, affected differently to neurotypical people. And everything is geared towards dopamine because for everyone it's a human chemical. But for us, it becomes like crack to a crack addict. And
if you've no self-awareness, what are you meant to do?
Yeah, and we've got these things that just inject it. We've got these, you know, that constantly just giving us dopamine all the time. So we're even more used to getting it non-stop, whereas before we used to have to search it out. We'd have to read a book, or we'd go for a walk, or, you know, watch a film and sit still, and all these things to get the dopamine. Whereas now we could just get it instantly. So now we're having to work harder for it when it's those things that we aren't getting as much dopamine from.
It used to be called multitasking, didn't it?
Yeah.
Now I feel like a mental patient. I have to smoke and drink and watch something and be on my phone at the same time, or I can't relax. And then I'm not relaxed.
Yeah.
But like you said, that's just happening all over. Like if I go to the bathroom to have a shower or brush my teeth, I have to have a podcast on, or I have to have some noise, something to listen to. I find it difficult. I mean, apart from I've got really bad tinnitus, but I find it difficult to have no noise in the background or something not happening. So yeah, it's a strange one. But I think that's probably been the same for years with people listening to the radio in the background, but now we just know a bit more about it. But I can't even brush my teeth without listening to a podcast nowadays. It's like have to have that input, that sort of feedback.
Yeah.
That's what I'm like going to sleep, except I'm fighting it this week. I'm refusing to do it, which is why I'm tossing and turning for 3 hours, but I will keep at it as long as I can because I need to get a sleep pattern.
Yeah.
So
sleep's an issue for ADHD as well, of course.
Yeah.
For fuck's sake. I told you this was going to happen, didn't I?
Well, you said your son's got it, and it is 80% genetically inherited.
No, he doesn't.
Oh, I thought you said he did, sorry.
No, he went to see the ed psych when he was about 9, and they tested him for dyspraxia, and he hit 9 out of the 16 things.
Right.
The ed psych said, okay, you can go back to class now. He stood up and walked into a wall, and then the ed psych went off sick, and that was it until I fought to get him an ADHD, just to try and find somewhere we could, and not because I want him to have a label, but once you've got a signpost, you know what the help you need is then, don't you?
Yeah.
Like, if you don't know what's wrong with someone. So I thought, we'll try and get him done for ADHD. So it took 2 years, and by the time because I tried to get schools to help him, and there was just nothing, because the Tories cut everything because they're absolute psychopathic bastards. And they don't understand that healthy children are the fucking future of our country. You fucking imbeciles. So, I didn't get anywhere till he was 18. And then when we did go to the local place for his ADHD results, he went for the testing and then we went for the results. And the ADHD specialist, who looked like he was beyond retirement, laughed in my face that I'd brought an 18-year-old in to see him. And he might as well just punch me. I did not take it very well. And, he got a bit of that. But so I've actually, he's 20 in February, and my very good friend Claire, who often gets a mention, is going to hopefully do some work with him, because she's a dyslexia specialist. But it's affecting his mental health chronically. It's, he can't get a job, and in this market, fucking no, very few people can.
Yeah.
So it's so detrimental that we're not taking it seriously, or, like all mental health conditions, treating it appropriately, holistically, because that doesn't create profit in the short term.
To 2 governments, the stats in terms of early diagnosis and what it means, and potentially save billions to the economy.
Yeah.
I know that's coming from a very capitalist viewpoint, but that's the way to sell it to them. But I think the short-termism is there, where you'd see the results in maybe 20 years. Even thrombosis is reduced by early diagnosis because they're less likely to be in risky behaviour.
Prevention is better than cure. That's a fact.
Well, that's the crux of it, isn't it? Really.
Yeah.
But as you say, the political side of it is you have to sell this as a money
it's disgusting,
kind of saving
because
exercise.
human life doesn't matter.
Yeah,
oh my
I
God.
know. But tackling it head on like that is, it's the only way, unfortunately. But did you get much sort of feedback from them? Did they sort of?
They thought it was all brilliant, but did nothing.
Nothing about it
in response. No.
I tell you what. I was just going to, when I'm sleeping and eating, hopefully this time next year, we'll go to a select committee together.
Yeah.
And then we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'm up for that.
Yeah.
When my brain's firing properly and I can put Boris Johnson under the table with words, then we'll do that.
It's a no-brainer if you look at the research, because you're reducing drug and alcohol issues by 50%. If we could reduce 50% of the prison system, we can get people also just in work, paying tax rather than being off work, and mental health conditions are reduced, domestic abuse is reduced, even the parents of the child are more likely to stay together, and the kids end up doing better as well.
The generational
God, you're wonderful.
It's a no-brainer. It just makes so much sense. But like in those stats and those billions that we save, there are human beings that have better, happier lives. So
it's just lovely to hear somebody else saying it.
It's so frustrating.
Well, yeah.
Yes, I know. And you're qualified in stuff. I can't imagine how frustrating it is for you.
Yeah,
it must drive you nuts.
It's I often get thank you very much, and then it's just washed as soon as you walk out.
How dare these people who come from nothing with no specialisms take professional advice and disregard it? We saw it with COVID, so we know it happens. Every select committee, they're all like, oh yeah, very good, oh, very good, and then nothing happens. I mean, I don't know if you saw, I think it was last year, they had the guy who owns The Big Issue. He went in to discuss homelessness with them, and he was like getting really quite abrupt with them, and he was asked to calm down, and he went, look, I've been here 8 times, nothing ever changes, and you want me to calm down? But we haven't totally, like PMQs this week is just, I barely did it because it was such a load of children throwing handbags at each other. It's such a waste of time, and they get nothing done.
It's just theatre.
At best, it's farce. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, politically and governmentally, this is just every single kind of facet of the country is being left behind. It's just being ignored. The problems, whether it's mental health, whether it's the environment or anything similar, you know, they have these select committees, as you say, they get experts in and they listen, and then nothing happens, and then they just roll onwards. And we're in a position.
Yeah, we know better. No, you really don't. That's why all of this.
Well, yeah, exactly. But we're just in a position where we're a year and a bit into a Labour government, and it's just rolled on from the last 14 years. Nothing's changing. Nothing's improving. I mean, there are little things they've done, but as a general overall, nothing's making any difference. It's just the
There's
same
nothing
old
they
shit.
can do
No.
that would make any change until they completely do a post-World War II reset. And I'll keep saying it.
They've got big characters that are in the opposition that are setting the agenda.
Yeah.
And they're rolling with the characters rather
Completely.
than facts and reality, and using facts and reality to fight
It's
them.
insane.
Exactly. Personality over politics. I mean, it's just, yeah. I can't even remember who I was talking to about this the other day. Oh, it was a Green councillor. I met a local Green councillor a couple of weeks ago when I met the Patriotic Millionaires. And he was saying, you know, because I said, you must be pleased about not Dale Finns. That's who I was meeting that day.
Are you proud of him?
Zach Polanski. And he said, yeah, he's got the character and the personality. And that was kind of how our discussion rolled on, is that it's unfortunate we're in a position where that's the most important part of a political kind of party now, is who you've got at the top and how much they can shout on Newsnight. It's not,
It's culture war.
Yeah. And like you just said, James, it's, you know, Labour are chasing reform. Farage is basically setting the agenda for everybody, and everyone's just running after him. I mean, that's just what he's doing. So, 8 papers that he put an advert out in this morning.
What?
He paid 800,000 quid to put full 2-page spread in, I think, maybe 6 newspapers: the Telegraph, the Sun, the Mail, etc. With his big grinning face and a big
tax write-off, is it? Yeah.
An open letter about how Britain's broken again. But that's now then setting the agenda for Labour to follow. And they're not doing things like looking at people's health because they're following that knob. It's just such a messed up position we've found.
They're not politicians anymore. They're dress-up capitalists.
Well,
they don't give a shit. A handful of them do. Sorry, I don't want to generalise. There's a relative handful of good people. But the majority are just careerist shitheads who know fuck all about fuck all, but they've got more confidence than I've ever seen in my life. It's fucking mental.
They're desperate to have a career and stay in politics. So they, you know, if I present them with the ADHD stuff, they look at the next election and say, well, we could implement that, because I recommended screening at reception level.
Right.
We could implement that. We'll see the results when those reception kids are 18. We're not going to be in power then. Another government might.
So we don't care.
So
that's
what it is.
Fucking Jesus. Sorry, I'm just.
Yeah, it's just electoral cycle, isn't it? Like every.
I said that last week, didn't I? That's what they live in. They live in 4-year terms, and nothing else matters, and it's contradictory to their job.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's horrible.
It's a real shame, because it's. You know, I mean, Roe versus Wade's a really interesting one in relation to this, because a load of economists looked when that first came in, why there was loads of like a massive reduction in crime, and they looked at the economy and everything. It didn't make sense, and it was a load of kids that weren't born into poverty that 18 years later didn't go and commit crime.
Yeah,
you know, and that's what reduced it. And I always see like just getting early diagnosis in is the same thing of just that life mirror reflecting back at you, the difference it makes in terms of who you are and become as an adult.
Well, they're all very pro-life until a child is actually born and then needs supporting, and then they don't give a shit, which is why the likes of Nigel Farage, when he starts banging on about that next year, which undoubtedly he will do at some point, is going to get it right up the arse.
That's why they
brought the man who made so many women pregnant. Yeah.
Well, that's why they brought Danny Kruger in and then James Orr behind the scenes in their kind of anti-abortionist Christian fundamentalism. That's where they're.
I still want to know. I want to know where he goes to church, and I want to speak to his vicar.
Who? Kruger?
Yes.
He's a Christian
I'm
evangelist.
not even joking.
I can tell you the
Yeah.
name of his church. I wrote about it. I can't remember.
Oh,
But
please do, because I'd love to contact them.
he did a course. I can't remember. I looked it up from my article, but I'll find it for you later. But yeah,
Thanks,
it's a Christian evangelist. For that, read Fundamentalist, basically, kind of training course that he went on. So, yeah.
That sounds normal.
It's really not. Yeah. Him and James Aura, the new sort of kind of attack weapons on that, where you got Tice attacking disabled people and people with mental health conditions. I sort of briefly said to James before when you were on your call, I was reading a bit earlier about I've been listening to the Rest is History podcast, and they're doing their latest series on the war, and I'm really interested in the Second World War, but they talked about Hitler's forced euthanization program. And it just suddenly, when I remember we were chatting, I was like, oh God, that's right. They went and they literally murdered people with mental health conditions and disabled people.
Oh, they did. Hitler did, but he only did less than a quarter of what the Tories killed.
No, yeah, well, yeah, but
different way of doing it.
No,
but the result is exactly the fucking same.
The similarities when we were talking last episode about their black shirts that they've released, Reform, and their Nazi kind of coin, which looks like a Reichsmark or a Nazi symbol. Now Tice's kind of, I think it was called Action 41 or something, the Nazis program, and now like heading down this kind of route of like we're going to target disabled people. It's just horrible. It's
the idea that we're useless and have no use to society.
Exactly.
And, so therefore, it's to demonise us and chuck us aside.
That's it.
It just makes the pathway through us a lot easier, doesn't it?
Yeah, it just doesn't bear thinking about. It's so just grim. Anyway,
what were we talking about?
Yeah. Well, we were talking about the Nazis at one point, but I mean...
Oh, no, that's what I was saying to James, is that last week I had wonky brain on, obviously.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm sure it's Combat 18, but it might be Combat 19, but it is Combat 18, the Nazi group.
That was what the 1 and the 8 is A and H. That's Combat 18 was definitely a horrific. Well, I think they're still around actually.
I don't think they're going to release them. I think it's just a trolling exercise.
What Reform
to get clicks? Yeah.
Oh, quite possible.
But I also think if they do release it, we're in big fucking trouble.
Tell me about it. Yeah, I know. Can't be walking around the streets with black shirts on when your sort of party has distinct fascist leanings.
Or is that the bit where it becomes acceptable to punch a Nazi again? Because I'd be cool with that if they're going to advertise themselves.
Well, yeah. I wrote that ages ago when they first put out the original football shirts. I was like, well, at least in the riots and, when it kicks off in London, if they have a far-right march, Farage won't be able to deny it's not Reformed fans. But
notwithstanding, political uniforms are illegal.
Yeah, they are after World War II.
It would have been easier on dating apps as well if they were around, though, because you could easily swipe left as soon as you saw one.
Mate, you just know they're all sat there holding their fishes. Oh, you might not get that because you're men. Loads of men are into fishing, and they sit there with nothing gets me, well, apart from gold jewellery, but nothing gets me swiping left like a man holding a fish. And they're all reformists, I'm telling you.
Is that really true, the fish thing?
Sorry to any anglers out there.
Is that true, the fish thing? I've seen it loads of people talking about it, but I've never actually...
Oh, it's tedious as fuck. Oh, I've got a bivvy. Oh, you sound fun.
No. Oh, God.
I mean, I'm sure it's a very relaxing thing. I just don't understand why going and piercing a living animal is fun to anybody when you're only going to throw it back. You're not even going to eat it. I don't get it. That's why I swipe.
It's definitely not an ADHD hobby because you're not much
sitting in the stillness.
Yeah.
No.
Just sitting there bored, quiet, nothing going on. Yeah, no, not cool.
Yeah, no, the fish people are no good.
The fish. Mermaids?
We're getting a bit irreverent
we're
now.
Off on one here.
Getting seriously off-piste.
Yeah. Okay, let's bring it back a bit to the topic in hand. So, have you got some more questions, Sal, or about?
Oh, I've not stopped talking. Sorry, no, I haven't. I don't think. I've got psychology ? But I can't remember what the thought was. So, James, tell us about psychology. I don't know. I'm joking. I don't know what the question was.
I don't know.
No, okay.
I think it's I think it is just that, like, the mental health conditions for ADHD are just a reflection, like, psychologically of the world back on us, rather than it actually being more
Deep, accurate.
about having ADHD. You know, it's having if you have ADHD and you know everything's kind of going well. If everyone was ADHD, you know, we wouldn't have these issues. Neurotypical people would be, you know, if they were the minority, because our world would be that chaotic that neurotypical people wouldn't be able to manage and start seeing themselves as different, being told off for who they are, you know.
We are going to get to a point where we are the majority the way we're going.
Yeah. Well, as it's getting more acceptable, we are getting out of the house and breeding more, passing our genetics on. It's going to happen.
Is it Jung that said, "Show me a man who said he's mentally sound and I'll diagnose him"?
Yeah.
Was it? I don't.
That's catch-22, isn't it?
The rise in psychopathy due to obscene wealth is a huge problem that we've got, because they're going to wipe us out with their greed. It's that, you know, 200 years maybe, but it's happening.
Yeah.
We're on course for that. It's terrifying, and it's all just so that people who've got more money than Croesus can stay mean and bitter.
Did you see that study, that news article where they were shooting people, like in Kosovo?
Oh, don't.
No. They were doing human safaris. Like, you could pay something like as small as £80,000 to go and shoot people.
I've read
the ultra rich.
Oh, I've read about that.
Sorry. This is where I am now. My feelings of that.
Oh dear, you're right. Yeah, I've heard stuff like that. I've read about it.
It's just horrific.
It is horrific. It is
absolutely horrific.
I'm not surprised, but
it's like
at what point are we going to go, this is not fucking on, we need to change things?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Did you see him on Twitter last week? People who kill other people should be killed or something.
He must.
Oh, all right, lad. What are we doing with your dad? Yeah.
His dad's under investigation.
Is this his dad who dates his 14-year-old stepdaughter?
That's the one.
No. He had a child with her.
Sorry, yeah, but isn't he under investigation now for kind of child sex offences and things like that?
They're off.
He was another.
They're subhuman.
Going back to what we said before, Errol Musk was on Tom Swarbrick's show regularly, during the election when Doge was happening at the beginning. So yeah,
I remember that.
He used to be on a lot. Anyway, we've gone way off again. What? So
you got to guess with ADHD.
That's what we do. It's what we do all the time.
Yeah, but that's the whole ethos of our thing. But yeah, how are things progressing within the NHS? Are things improving in terms of diagnosis, or things coming backwards, or?
Things have improved in terms of female diagnosis, which is really positive, because the three forms of ADHD. So there's your what's your kind of stereotypical version of ADHD is more presented in men. So the hyperactive, very impulsive kind of form of ADHD is more prevalent in males. And then you've got ADD, it's just attention deficit disorder, where the brain's more hyperactive but may not present like externally, is more seen in females. Okay. And obviously,
because we mask better,
you mask better, and there's arguments in the scientific community of, like, because we know, you know, to use a for want of a better term, a woke parent who's aware of kind of gender treatment, they will still tell their child off 5 times quicker for behaviours that are seen as male than they would as son. Right. So that it could be internalized, or it could be a different brain. But my son's ADD, and he would literally get dressed and zone out because his brain started thinking of something else. So he'd just be holding his trousers like that.
Oh, really?
And in a classroom, they don't cause any problems to anyone, but they never get any help and support because they're the ones just daydreaming at the back of the class. So a lot of women have been not diagnosed, and the diagnostic criteria, missed those completely. So it has kind of moved towards understanding those versions, which is positive. Cool. But in this country, the main cohort of people being diagnosed are women who are just going into the menopause.
Oh, really?
Oh, right.
So it's like the mask isn't able to be there anymore. And one thing that TikTok's been good for, because it's not good for much, but the algorithms have pushed those people into going, okay, there's something else going on here. It isn't just the menopause. I've got
that's
this
interesting.
other thing. So that's been really positive.
Good. Yeah. a positive use for
I'm 9
social
years
media
in.
is interesting.
It's no fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But we're looking, and in some places, 9 years waiting list.
Yeah.
Some people.
Yeah.
It's mad, isn't it? It's absolutely
it's
crazy.
It's horrendous.
Yeah.
So you have to go private, basically, don't you?
Yeah, yeah. And a lot of people with ADHD and autism don't work.
Yeah.
And don't have that.
The
extra
finance
money.
is behind it.
But then also, if you do go and get a private diagnosis, you're not allowed to use that in a PIP claim.
Yeah.
You said that to me
Unless
the
it's
other
Only-
nice guidelines.
Unless what, sorry?
Yeah, they will.
Nice guidelines.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
Yeah,
Ironically, nice guidelines,
yeah.
but yeah, not nice guidelines because
Yeah.
you know it. People are suffering. I don't give a shit how much money they've got. They need help.
Yeah. And the earlier diagnosis, the less likely they need to PIP.
Yeah.
Well,
irony.
Oh,
yeah.
tell me about it. As I sit here with my body fighting me
Yeah.
because I didn't get diagnosed till 10 years ago with the wrong thing,
Yeah.
and then went off on my own little research thing and. Fucking hell, I just hope I'm here this time next year and thriving because I don't know that I will be, and it's crucifying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I've got fibromyalgia as well, which is also part of ADHD.
Is
but
it?
I was misdiagnosed for 10 years, given lots of really dangerous medication for
Yeah.
like arthritis that lowered my immune system.
Oh.
But yeah, so fibromyalgia is also on the dopaminergic
Yeah.
pathway, and a study in South Africa found about 50% of people with fibromyalgia were ADHD
wow.
diagnosable as well.
God, I didn't know that.
So
It's so mad because
it's a massive
everything
link.
you've said takes me right back to being little.
yeah,
And I don't know that it was necessarily ADHD then, but I was like in a trauma environment. But
well that goes
yeah.
together as well because
and all I've done is pick up chronic illnesses as I've got older.
Yeah.
I
Have you
woke up
got
at
ADHD?
21
21.
with a slipped disc for no reason.
Right.
No reason, no injury, no nothing, no whatever. But my nervous system from being a top, from splitting my mum and dad up in fights, was just on fire, and that became my normal, as did grinding my teeth, clenching my jaw,
Yeah.
and my entire body. I was even thinking before, I played rugby when I was a teenager, and I struggled with my weight, but I wasn't like massively overweight. I was like 12, 14, chunky. I couldn't run. It was like trying to like get through syrup, and like all my other teammates who were like, some of them a lot bigger than me, were like miles ahead, and I'm like, I couldn't swim. And it was only when I went and did some somatic therapy about 2 years ago, I started walking differently because my body started relaxing, and it just was a whole new experience. But if I hadn't found those holistic therapists that took me years to research, I would never have discovered that, and I'd just be walking through life like that and getting iller and iller and iller.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it cost the NHS money.
I was in a wheelchair some days
Really?
with my fibro, and it was only
Oh.
once it got diagnosed with fibro that they told me to do what I thought was impossible, which was go to the gym, which kind of got me. So when you're exhausted, because you get chronic fatigue as well, so when you're exhausted and in pain, and someone says go in the gym and
It's the last
exercise,
thing
you're
you
like,
want. Yeah.
are you crazy? Yeah. Your body says
Yeah.
no. But then when I did, I was like, oh my God, I'm moving
Started
again.
to bring it on.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
Have you tried yoga?
I've got hypermobility, which is also linked to with ADHD
no.
as well. So I'm always a bit nervous about doing yoga in case I overdo it.
Do you know what's
You don't wanna
brilliant
snap your
though?
elbows or
My son, I got my son doing MMA from the age of 10, and kind of, well, I just wanted him to be protected for the rest of his life. So he's very competent at MMA, and he got into the England team. And had to go for a medical before he went to the World Championships at 14, and they diagnosed him with hypermobility. But it's what makes him really good at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, because it's like playing human
Yeah, you
chess.
can kind of move
Yeah.
your arms.
So if you've got more flexibility than your opponent,
Wow.
Yeah.
you're laughing. So highly recommend that, and it's a great sport. But anyway,
Yeah.
but no, I found yoga really
helpful.
helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, this is the
Yeah,
bit
I
that I
need to do
didn't
yoga.
understand until you sort of started explaining about the sort of the physical kind of brain differences, in the way. Because so obviously, if your brain's started out in life differently, your whole body's going to develop differently, right? I mean, that's how
we
it's
are just-
following on in what you're saying is what I'm getting.
The CDH2 genes mutated, which we pass
Right.
on, and so a bit like what Sal was saying before. If you've got ADHD or autism, then your parents have, who are probably
Yeah, undiagnosed.
undiagnosed.
Yeah, sure.
And then that increases drug and alcohol issues 50%, domestic abuse, all these things. So then you are going to experience trauma as a child, So we often, our generation in particular, us in our kind of 40s and 50s, will have had undiagnosed parents who also had underdiagnosed parents who were just trying to manage their life and seeing themselves as wrong, probably very angry, emotionally respond like that. We're going to have that as kids and grow up in that environment. So that's why we get trauma as well. So it's very, very common for our generation to have both trauma and
that's really interesting.
And ADHD as well.
This is it, because I've been around.
Sorry, go on, Sal.
No, I was just going to say, when I talk to sort of friends of our generation about my experiences growing up, and a lot of them are like, yeah, but everyone goes through that. It doesn't make it okay. No, now let's discuss the people who also went through that, and are they all thriving and doing well in life? No, they're not, are they? No. So
I suppose when you say the sort of parents of parents, looking back to our age grandparents, my grandfather was in the Second World War. The trauma, the severe trauma that came out of war, then must have bred into a different kind of, not bred, that's the wrong word, but led into a kind of psychological disaster almost for that generation of parents. And then there were our parents and now our parents, and if they've got ADHD in the mix as well, it must be awful.
I mean, my grandparents were concentration camp survivors, so
were they?
We've got kind of that in the mix as well. But you do see it. Like my granddad, he used to my English side, granddad used to buy the same pot of jam in case it ran out, and he had 50 of them lined up in his garage. So you see the neurodiversity kind of going through the generations.
I do that. I've got so much stuff.
Monster Munch bloody mayonnaise, you weirdo.
Yeah, that's lovely. No, oh God, something's flashed in my head there when you said that. I have to I have certain moisturizers and shower gels and hair products, and
we saw when you went on Oldie last year. It's got a bucket like this full of girly products. It's mad.
Because when I like something, I'm like, no, I don't want this ever to sort of hold.
Yeah. Oh, I do that.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can fully empathise with that side of things. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I think podcasting should be on the diagnostic criteria anyway.
Yeah.
So.
Maybe.
We are a certain breed.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
For me, it's very much necessity breeding. What's the word, Don?
What?
Invention.
Necessity is the mother of invention. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm doing, because I'm very limited as to what I can do to earn money. So, because like you said, I am perpetually exhausted.
Yeah.
So.
Wow. Well, I mean, just unbelievably interesting talking to you, James. I'm just looking at the time. It's
thank you for having
gone
me.
over an hour now. So, yeah, I mean, that's amazing. Thank you.
It's been wonderful.
Yeah, it really has.
No, thank you. Thank you for having me, really.
Yeah,
and letting me on and spreading the message.
Drop me a message with anything you want me to link to in the show notes, and I'll put links out, and I'll share it around as well. So, yeah, really appreciate you coming in and chatting.
I'd love to have you back on.
Welcome back anytime.
Anytime.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, anytime it comes up in the news or anything, feel free to.
Yeah, I'm sure it will. As we mentioned earlier, it's only going to get worse, unfortunately, with that side of things, the right side of things. So, yeah, absolutely. Amazing. Right, cool.
Well, thank you ever so much for having me. Yeah.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks, James.
Right,
it's been brilliant. Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Bye.